Welcome back to the Willis Podcast. How you guys doing, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, we are back. We back in the place to be. Let me make sure my seat right and everything. You know what I'm saying? Get situated. Let me make sure you guys can hear me. Let me make sure before I get started. Let me make sure you guys can hear me on here. You know what I'm saying? See if you can hear me. Oh yeah, you can hear me. All right, we good. We good. All right, just had to make sure we were solid. Let me see. Let me get this check on. I gotta remember to do that. Show the chat. Uh, small. Let me get my icons going real quick. Yeah, get the show right. Yeah, we like that. We like that right there, just like that. Okay, we good. We back, man. Yeah, it's been a minute. We back. All right. I had to do a couple of things, man. Had some work to do. Got some other things to do with that. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. Tonight's show is No Trust Amongst Us show. Can't trust a liar. But we're so accustomed to them. Damn, boy, we're so accustomed to people just, yeah, doing just that, just lying so much. Good God, man, it's, whew, boy, that's, let me get in my phone real quick. See, that's one thing that, the reason why delineation is so prevalent and, listening and understanding different perspectives, people from, to have a very strong understanding, a very, very strong understanding of how things are supposed to, or how things have accumulated and gotten this way. And it just didn't happen. It happened fast. It didn't happen overnight. It happened extremely quick in a sense when you're talking about time. Now, time is, I view time as a spiral. So you have ebbs and flows. You go through these phases. You go through these discoveries, I would say. These human discoveries. We discover different aspects about each other, different cultures. You get to do that a lot in America. Because when people come here, they have their own way of doing things. They're allowed to. Wonder why, wonder how, but yes, they're allowed to behave and act how they want to act, and then it's it just don't go well. It just don't go well. It doesn't fit into the American way of life. There's always a conflict because you're bringing other elements into a space that you're not willing to learn. You're willing to extract and take. But this is the problem with not being able to trust, and there's no trust amongst us, is because everybody has a me first, very stringent, rigorous mindset, very specific, very individual, very me first. So when people use the terms like we and we who, jeez, there are people that have commonalities and for for the lack of giving a shit, to be honest with you, people amalgamate with people that they are comfortable with, that they trust, that they feel like they can lean on, that they feel like they can they can understand. It's more so about understanding and appreciation also, because people that understand you do show you a very certain level of appreciation, because they're not looking at how to out opinion you, or they're not looking to take you out or take you down. They're looking to add to you or learn from you or learn how to exchange with you. There's a different kind of genuineness about that. That's why you can never put people, regardless of where you're from, you can't put them all in the same bucket because some people fall in two categories, being genuine and disingenuous. And unfortunately, in the world that we live in, there's a lot of disingenuous ass people. It's sad, but it's true. Extremely disingenuous. Don't like to tell the truth. Don't like to. They like to consider themselves mysterious, or they like to consider themselves um, unorthodox. Nah, you ain't none of that. Your ass is just a, you like to lie, and you like to habitually lie. So you don't understand it. If I catch you in a lie or a couple lies, damn, you just oh man, that's too many lies for me. I'm good. I don't. I most of the time I completely disassociate with that person for being so habitual with that treachery. That's very treacherous to be around a person that to uh loves to lie and act as if they're not caught in the lie that they're telling, and they also act as if the lie that you're telling, you're supposed to believe it because they said it. Like, if that is not the craziest crock of shit that you can ever think of, that's crazy as hell. I'm not gonna agree with your lie just because. Don't be putting me in that shit. No, I don't want no parts of that. So anyway, let's get to the first what moment. That was your interlude. Okay. So no trust amongst us, Joe. No trust amongst us. Can't trust a liar. So the first what moment is, how do people lose? People lose because they're not playing the same game. They're not even playing in the same stratosphere. People lose because you got people that play on different platforms, not even speak the same language, don't have the same cultures. And also because there was one thing that people understood is about a universal truth. When you do business, you should tell the truth. You should lay it out, be actual. Actual meaning very descriptive. Let me know what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and how it's supposed to relate to change. How does it amalgamate to what it's supposed to actually develop into if you can't orchestrate it? See, when you're experienced, certain things allow you to know that certain people cannot orchestrate things very well or at all. Why, perhaps? Because they're full of shit. Because when you've done things over and over and over again, you tend to have a knack to remember, record, write it down, understand the process, better the process, expedite the process so that you can alleviate these symptoms when the process is done. What am I talking? What you talking about, Danny D? I'm talking about how you resolve your issues in life. You didn't understand there was a process. That's why I'm going to bring out of the show when we monetize here on the Willis Podcast. The process with Danny D is coming very soon. Yours truly, but I will be um, having conversations with people. I want to open that platform up to having conversations with people. But I'm going to introduce it here on the Willis Podcast. So I want that to be coming soon. I want to answer questions. I want to be able to talk and be able to, exchange with people very well. I see the chat right here. Oh, it's just the chat. They talking out. They just, I don't know if. All right, all right. What's up? Yeah, I appreciate you. Yeah. So the thing is, man, we have to understand about that's how people lose. People play on different platforms. If I'm playing chess and you're playing Go, then that's chaos. Or if I'm entertaining the fact that we're playing the same board game, somebody has to be truthful, but there has to be cards on both sides. You can't, well, you shouldn't, but the cards that people played when they got to the Americas, they was playing for keeps. They was playing for all. They was playing not for the money. No, they were playing to destroy. You dig? Completely destroy. So just to rebuild and use the intelligence of the people with the skill set of rebuilding, which is why I keep bringing this book up. Something keeps telling me, show this piece of history material written by Dr. Sujan Kumar Das. It's an incredible book. It has, I mean, even on the front page of even on the cover, and talks about it when it talks about investing science itself, when it says, all of the different, from zoology to biology to traffic lights to boats to pyramids to, all of these. I love the way this book is orchestrated. You can check it out yourself if you can see it. If you can check it out yourself, you can see that. And this is Sujan Bass. Yep. And it's very true. Black people did invent everything. Also, it's because we are the actual people and the remnants that was hidden in cultures that were destroyed. But there were some records that were very much so kept. Very much so. Check this out. I'll read something from you. William Dunbar. No, I already read William Dunbar in the Natchez. Yeah, I have. Yeah, Gallatin, Jefferson, and slavery. Check this out. The Savages of Monticello was not a saint. He was a gentleman politician, slave owner, avid for politics. His public career could thrive only so long as he did nothing offensive to the gentry. His represented who raised crops for market, slave labor, who raised also slaves for market to for as a second crop. The gentlemen of the old dominion were articulate, rich, charming, and controlled the large singularity constituency constitutionary in American politics, largely through not solely because of the influence slavery permitted every aspect of nation's life in constitution, in economy, its religion, and its psychology. Jefferson was once the beneficiary of slavery and its victims. His sweet and cultivated leisure, his books, wine, and cigars were purchased by the sweat of his slaves. He knew it. And because he gave constant thought to his place of history, he knew full well the posterity would be aware of it as well. Whatever else he accomplished, his reputation was and is shadowed by his failures to grapple with the shame of slavery. Through it is wearisomely repeated of him in alimeration of this failure that he was a man of his time and class, and others of his time and class did take the political risk of suffered the financial losses of acquiring and constant foes of slavery. Among them were Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, John Randolph, Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr, Edward Coles, Thomas Worthington, that acted upon the professed beliefs, though it would have been easy for Coles Worthington, Washington, and Randolph to add local to time and to class, had excuses. They liked Jefferson, where Virginians, Cole and Worthington, freed their slaves during their lifetimes. Randolph set all of his hundreds free at his death, and Washington did so at the death of his spouse. Jefferson freed only a handful of his slaves, and those few only in his death. In his public life, Jefferson did attempt to occasionally to admirate or admir, ameliorate the evil they all acknowledged. The two most widely celebrated these actions as the condemnation of the slave trade and the Declaration of Independence and termination of that trade during his presidency. His courage on both occasions, as he overpraised. Let us close. Let us look closely at the Declaration, reserving the termination of the slave trade for the place of the large story. In 1776, Jefferson placed his draft of the Declaration of Independence, a forced indictment of British king of the international slave trade through the refraining from any indictment of slavery itself. He did not propose that the Declaration uttered a word about the American purchases of slaves or the merchants engaged in domestic slave trade, of whom Virginians were especially active. Did you hear that? Domestic slave trade, of whom Virginians were especially active. Jefferson had his mouth to say the international audience, but in any case, his colleagues struck even his modest and measured attack on the slave system from the final version of the Declaration. Jefferson was a man of his time. He has an acute sense of the winds of change, and he entered the national and international political arena in the early 1780s. He must have felt those winds rising about him. Slavery was abolished in Vermont in the 1770s, and in 1781 was held incompatible in Massachusetts with the theorem of the Declaration of all men were created equal. Even in Virginia, the right of slavery owners in maniment was formally recognized by law in 1782 and reaffirmed by 2 or 1 majority in House delegates in 1785. Slavery was being questioned by all civilized people. I hope you understand this. Those who have not read the Declaration sometimes hail to say that the proclamation that all men were born free and equal, it spoke it only in equality and obviously did not proclaim to any intention to extend political equality to the enslaved. Check this out. This was the context of his preparation of recordings of his strongest sentiments against slavery. In its notes on Virginia, written of the audience of French philosophies, Jefferson resisted a publication of the Notes of America until pirates forced his hand. Our subjects of the discovery of the great valley of the prejudice brought into the discovery of Jefferson and his contemporaries. While considerably more could be said of Jefferson's actions, projections, those prejudices of the world stage with regard to the valley of the most important facts to be borne in mind that whatever he might have written in the French slavery was battened upon the people of the Great Valley during his presidency from 1801 to 1809, and that he had done little to oppose the expansion into the region since 1784. Whew, these are severe changes. These are severe charges. And to their weight must be added to this, he also dismissed the benign influence of west of west of Gallatin, who was hobbled for the effectiveness as a friend to freedom by his loyal to Jefferson as early as 1792. Guillotine was led a committee of the Pennsylvania legislature to declare that slavery was obviously contrary to the law of nature and dictates of justice and natural rights. But by 1799, he had lapsed his compassion, thrown off the course by the power of Jefferson's magnetism, and he failed to speak out publicly against slavery until Jefferson retired from public office in 1809. Oh. But a crucial year in 1784, when the chairman of the committee of these Congress dealings in the organization of the Western Treaties, territories, Jefferson ascended to the proposal of David Hale in Rhode Island and the Timothy Pickering of Massachusetts that would set the stationary limits to the spread of slavery in the Appalachians, beyond which there were still few slaves, and they would be set free by 1800. Through the sixth state and vote of Hale proposal, only 3 opposed, 7 were needed, and it failed Jefferson's case to a vote, and James Madison of his regret at the outcome. But there is no record of any strenuous efforts on his part to support of Hale's idea. Things fell out quite differently in 1787. Jefferson is sometimes credited with the Northwest Ordinance. When many of us learn history, we were told that Jefferson saw it on the ordinance of prohibited slavery north in Ohio. Jefferson was the final draftsman in the ordinance, but was not the proponent of the limitations of slavery. Once again, the honor must be according to the Federalists, Rufus King, Timothy Pickering, Nathan Dade, and Mansur Coulter. The precise language and limitations was introduced by Dane of Massachusetts and lobbied through the Congress of Coulter. The Southwest Ordinance came along shortly thereafter and is somewhat less often celebrated, for it is not a source of pride. It permitted all territories organized south of the Ohio to come to a greater Virginia with slavery, operating in tandem. Thereafter, the two ordinances implicitly encouraged the expansion of slavery into the parts of the Trans-Appalachian Southwest, which had yet not been polluted, while crippling the slave-owning cycle of a few French residents of Illinois. So I'm telling you, this prevalence of slavery and all of these things that happen in the breaking of treaties and all of these things has happened because people are full of lies. This shows you this is all national slavery. It was all right here, done here in the United States. So you talking about shipping people from Africa, all these folks, they say it came from Africa. That's just not true. You have to understand that. That's just no. That didn't happen like that. No, we were here before all of those events took place. And that's just we were here long before the 1700s. This was just these implementations of going in and still trying to enslave peoples. So check this out. That's how we lost. It was a mindset. It was an ideology. It was a presence from immigrant foreigners that came here. We're talking immigrant white foreigners that came here as also blacks too. You have to understand that you can't leave certain situations and stipulations out and act as if that ain't what it is, because it is what it is. Okay, so check this out. Have we ever had it? Have we ever had trust? No, there was never a point in time where we had trust simply because of the want, the need, the actuality, the persistence, the amalgamation, the need for land, the need for the presence, the need for your propaganda, the needs for your people in their luxuries, as well as the taking over of administration. It's always about taking over the administration. Administration meaning who has the relationships with the rest of the world. That's who stands on the mountaintop. That's who runs DC. That's who you call the dominant society, and everybody that's in those intricate places and areas. But at the same time, how do they get there? Well, you also know they do a whole lot of voter scamming, a whole lot of fraud, a whole lot of different tactics to make sure that their needs are met while not giving a damn about others' needs. But see, then when that whole trick elevated, transformed, and became an apparatus for the rich, here we are today. Let's get to the next what moment. Oh, see, the problem is a lot of people have never learned to be civilized. Never. See, being civil is always looking out for your neighbor, regardless who they are and what they look like. See, that was the trick that was set upon Black Americans. We always knew that always be hospitable to your neighbors. But guess what? That bit us in the ass. Didn't serve us any good. And the reason why they didn't serve us any good is for a few reasons. People were and have and still do. And even throughout the historical fabric of people arriving here, they came with their own agenda. They're not worried about you. They're not worried about what you're thinking about. And no, I ain't worried about. I worry about what's here for me. So they buy into the propaganda. Say, well, America is supposed to be the land of plenty, and I want my plenty. That's all. Ain't nobody worried about. Well, you need to get your plenty. Ain't you from here? Get out my face. See, that's how people used to behave. That's how they used to get down. That's how they used to operate. Man, please, I ain't got to worry about you, man. I do my own thing. I get it for myself. You need to get it for yourself too. You know what I'm saying? So that's how people got down. That's how it was. That's how they still get down. But then when that got exposed, because as soon as Black Americans take that approach to say, hey, it's time for us to extremely to really practice some extreme reflection, just some reflection about how we need to move forward, because a lot of people have used their different you know collective to really pivot themselves and their lives and their people forward. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with that at all. But at the end of the day, when you do it on the account of me and you disrespect the people as to why you were able to operate that way, man, that's so disingenuous and disgusting, man. Nobody's going to put up with that. And that's why it's very, very necessary to reclaim, set precedent, understand your individuality as a people and a culture of people. It's very much so necessary. So I don't like to get into the whole ins and outs of the name calling. We know if you are Aboriginal Black American or if you're Aboriginal American, I just like to say American Indian. Some people identify with FBA. I have no problem with that. I'm just, I have people, and those are my people. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't have to get into the technicalities. I know a lot of people love to get into the technicalities of things. I don't think that's necessary. People can identify and they know who their people are. They know if somebody talks a specific kind of way. They know if they know how I position myself and where I stand. I stand with my people. So it is what it is. I'm not into the technicalities. You know who I identify with. You know what I am. You know what I'm about too. So it's what it is. Let's get to the next what moment. Is society breaking down? Yeah, can't you tell? But some people just are more resilient than others. It's called people that are at home and really like being at home and love building new foundations and building new structures, because that's what we do at home. And that should be okay. And if don't nobody like it, I mean, that's their problem, man. That's what we're doing. But we're building new structures, new foundations, and we're staying steadfast. Now, is everybody catching hell? Oh yeah, a lot of people catching hell. Society is breaking down, or is it renewing? I think society is taking a whole new different approach. I think it's renewing. I think A lot of systems are breaking down that were fraudulent anyway, and they need to be um, reformed. There's a whole lot of reform. America has been through reform before, and that was in the early 1900s. You see, reform is good. It's not a bad thing. It's not an awful thing. It's a necessary thing, because when certain systems were implemented that were meant to destroy, and the only laws that were written to support certain kinds of people above others, like here in America, they were supporting more fair skinned, pale complected people over darker, melanated complected people. So you already understand that it was a slant to that. Those things were even mimicked in Latin America, i.e., places like Argentina and a lot of other places in Latin America. And y'all still practice that divide. That's just how you get down. But you should change that. uh at one point in time in the 90s, you used to think that language united them, and we already knew that wasn't the case. Nah, not when you talk to the right people. That ain't the case. Not the case at all. So you also got to understand, when society breaks down is when people aren't getting married anymore. When you stop getting married, don't mean you start having babies, because these babies out here are either fatherless or motherless, depending on which parent don't give a shit the most. So when society breaks down, the family unit breaks down. You see what I'm saying? So if the family unit breaks down and society is breaking down, and that's the end of, that go around. Once again, reform, right? But there's always a place there. We have to set new values and precedents into our system, so where you can hold your society up, because all it takes is organization and realization to how to move and create a new society. But you have to have staunch rules, laws, and regulations, and it has to be very disciplined before you can relax. It has to be extremely disciplined before you relax. So some people, you have to practice an extreme discipline when things are turning around or renewing or becoming something else, and being more what you would call fulfilling, or it's growing. It's being crafted. It's becoming something new. All right. Next, what moment? You got to ask yourself sometimes: do we still have neighbors? When I was a kid, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so used to go outside and play. Street light to the street light, come on, go outside and play. We played freeze tag. We played, what I'm saying, the frozen cup folks used to come around and sell frozen cups. Motherfuckers used to sell fresh watermelon and peaches in the neighborhood, from what they grown. And used to sell, I grew up in the deep south, you know what I'm saying? Where the gas stations got boiled peanuts, you know what I'm saying? So you got man, all kind of, yeah, excuse me. Damn. Yeah, but you had all kind of stuff like that, man. You got the frozen cup peddlers, ice cream truck. But a lot of people ain't want to trust the ice cream man, because he be out there all day and he be pissing in a bucket. He ain't washing his hands, you know what I'm saying? So he be giving kids. Nah, that was kind of a little nasty. You got to watch them well, the ice cream truck folk, make sure they clean and shit, you know what I'm saying? But they got gloves, you know what I mean? You got to do that shit for real. But do we still have neighbors? I don't even think people are nice enough to be neighbors sometimes no more. I think they're real shrewd. I think people are really off to themselves. I think they're extremely sometimes people think but they think they're above the people they live in the same neighborhood with. Like, and then when they think about cultural differences, and they be so upset because they don't live around they prefer people that they want to live around. You know what I'm saying? Like, they sometimes folks want white girlfriends and live in a white neighborhood. I understand that shit is not the business, because them people don't even want your ass around them. So that's why you ain't got no neighbors no more. That's why we got all these HOAs and shit like that, because people could, people be like, man, they don't want to be neighborly. So it's a lot of people that aren't neighborly because they aren't good people for real. And then they like, I don't want you in my business. Everybody's so privatized, which is truthfully so because you got a lot of people that are even open and nice. And for you got to look at them as a damn scammer sometimes. Like, why you so damn nice? What's going on with you? What you selling? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to watch people that's too nice because you don't want to trust their ass because they always talking about what they can offer. Like, why don't you offer your ass the hell out my face? And that's how people get down. So you just got to be really crafty and monitor who you have around you because people are weird as shit for real. All right, let's get to the next foot moment. Unspoken truths. You know, the one thing that Black Americans we do have, American Indians, man. Let me tell you something. We have we have a code that we know who's who, what's what, where they came from, their agenda. We know all of this by the first couple sentences that come out your mouth and your facial expressions. We're very good at reading nonverbal communication too. See, with your little ways and how you twitch and all of that. We're quite aware. We're like, look at you. Oh yeah, you don't fuck with me. Oh, you don't like me, huh? Yeah, I can see how you get down. Like we can see it and how you even you know fix your face. Sometimes we can tell. Oh yeah, you don't fuck with me, man. Yeah, you don't fuck with me. I can tell. Yeah, you don't even deal with me like that. I see what that's like. So it's all good, because we know that's what that is. That's the unspoken truths that we understand that when you can really pick up on energy and understand how a person is not vibing you because they got either agenda or they not filling you to a capacity simply because you done picked up on where they coming from. You kind of done spoiled their little experience because you're like, oh, I know what you about, so I already know what this is. I ain't even worried about your ass, you know. So let's get to the last whip moment. The reason we have no trust. The reason we have no trust right now today is because people love to lie because they think lying equates with intelligence and it only equates with stupidity, complete stupidity. Um, you get caught in lies. They don't serve you well. You tell one lie, you forget to tell. You got to tell another lie because you done told another lie. Those are lies you tell. That's your life. That's how you get down. Anyway, that's the show tonight. I've been on a little longer than I wanted to because I got to get to bed, man. I had to, yeah, got to do that sometimes. But check it out. Y'all tune into the Wheelers podcast. Let me know what you think about the show. You can hit that like button, hit that share button, leave your comments, and let me know what you think about the show as well. For real, we're gonna do another show tomorrow night. I'll be on a little earlier. If that'd be cool with my people. But then yeah, I'll be on a little earlier. Um, just think about that. Think about why it's um it's very valuable not to just trust people. Extremely valuable not to just put so much trust into people. It's always valuable in understanding people and where they come from and how they operate. And if you have any congruency. But if you don't have those things, then you just got to keep it moving. You got to sidestep that person. You know what I'm saying? You might want to just move right along. So anyway, that's the show tonight, my people. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed you. But that's the show. So you got to say everyone's favorite part of the show. You know what it is. The wheel is yours. Stay cool. Stay down. You ain't got to lead with trust. Lead with understanding and knowing. See what that person has is, see who they are. So I'll holler at y'all. Be easy. Peace.